Feeling like a shark in a shrimp tank. Big fish, small pond in the shrimp tank.
Hey, so we're back at the Shrimp Tank Charleston podcast, sitting here with Travis Bedson. I'm your host, Eric Elkins, and right before break, we were talking about what's the future? What's the future of Travis Bedson and C&T Foundations? What does it look like 5 years from now? What's your goal? What's your focus? What do you want it to look like?
So we have always been very conscious of not being the biggest. There are a couple other people in our space that have bigger egos, let's say, than I do, and they want to be the biggest. They want to be the Walmart. I've always said we want to be the special forces. We are going to tackle the hardest challenges. We are competing now in the industrial space. Nucor is one of our clients. The Marine Corps is one of our clients. So that's been a space we've been very successful at. But the future of C&T, we're already a regional player. We just want to increase our footprint. So right now, primarily South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia. We've ventured as far north as Delaware, do a lot of work in the D.C. area, and then far south is Orlando. There's some geology differences there that we take into account. But we want to increase our presence in that.
Any acquisitions?
Yeah, everybody right now in any kind of employment.
Travis is kicking me a little bit under the table.
Sorry about that. That's my affection for you. But acquisition and retention of talent is the number one problem facing any business owner, right? And so we may be able to solve that through some M&A activity. So we're looking into that. I believe in a really controlled growth. I don't want to ever sow the seeds of my own destruction. So it would do us we could double revenue, top line revenues, and then we have production and qualitative issues. That's just not, I won't stand for a qualitative problem. So I'd rather be marching down a more steady path to do that. The company will always be here. It's a good model. We've done a great job of building a good team of people. I have a great executive team underneath me. I don't have to show up to work every day anymore.
And and I think this was, and you probably got some of this from being in Vistage, but didn't you start a board of advisors for your company?
So we have our first board meeting in 3 weeks, something like that. And so that was another step to overcome my naivety, so to speak. And I when I started talking about forming that board, I go, listen, what has gotten me here, right, that tenacity, won't get me there. That's how I've said that. And I go, I need to rely on some more seasoned business experience. How are we going to accomplish some of this M&A activity that we want to do? I have the visionary capability. I go, here's what the market looks like. Here are some opportunities, but how do we navigate from A to B? And I need some guidance on that.
How did you go about picking the board? I'm curious. Like, how did you...
We just like we're doing now. I had a bunch of casual conversations. I was really stressed out because we're growing into some new product lines and some new market. And I go, I want to know that I'm making the right decision. As I always make sure everybody knows, I'm a W-2 employee of the organization. A lot of entrepreneurs, they just treat it as their own piggy bank. Nope, I'm an at-risk employee. The CEO can be fired. One day somebody else will be sitting in the CEO desk and I will just be the shareholder. And so I have a very distinct two hats. And so as the CEO, I'm like, oh, make sure I do my job, otherwise I'm going to get fired. That's how I looked at it. And so we started having conversations with people, and I started looking at different talents. So we are tremendously involved in sales and marketing, right? A large portion of our gross revenue goes back into marketing. So I go in sales. So I said, who would be a good candidate to advise on that? And so we reached out to a friend of mine, John Rosso, who does Sandler sales training. So he'd be a good candidate for board members. And then other types of businesses, I talked to the former CEO of Roto-Rooter, a $1 billion company, right? Super nice guy. Different industry, similar type, service type. And so we looked for not only experience, but then personality matches, right? I can be a little stubborn sometimes, but I'm willing to have a robust debate. And so I can't have people around me that are yes people. That wouldn't serve the purpose. So I need people that are willing to challenge me and say, no, Travis, you need to do it this way. Or you need to really look at it from that angle. And so a couple of other people from early on in my history. So 2 personal friends are on the board. One's in charge of another $1 billion company. They Cauldry's Refractories. Anything that gets melted, he heads up that sales team. But he knows me from a personal perspective. Been my friend since I was 16 years old, and so he can say, Travis, I know you personally, but here's how the real business world does it too. And I don't mean that, I'm not in the real business world. So finding that group of people, but keeping it small enough. So we landed on 6 board members.
Yeah, and you're pretty excited about the.
Oh, I'm so stoked.
Yeah, it's really neat that you have gotten to this point, and about to. And I agree with you. We were talking in a previous segment about the idea of how you didn't have this group of people to help you, kind of guide you, and you take someone like me who did, and I was saying how I envy your route, and sometimes people envy the other person. But at the end of the day, when I think for guys like me who grew up with someone who built a business and made it successful, I actually think it's harder for guys like me to be super successful because we have basically lived a life and had some nice finer things, and we have a harder time taking the risk.
No, you want to
because we don't want to lose it. Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I first started my business in 2011, well, in this iteration, right, I lived in an 8x8 room for 2 years in my office. A lot of people don't know this story. I had a dresser and a bed, and that's it.
What about shower?
In the back of the shop, I used the shop shower with no water heater. It's cold showers for 2 years.
You know what? Cold water supposedly helps you keep your hair.
The first purchase I made when I bought my house was an on-demand water heater. I don't care what you say. It's certain.
There's something about cold water. I learned this from a gentleman by the name of Flash, who was he lived in the Bahamas, and he'd help you get through customs through Nassau, and he always took cold showers. And I said, Flash, you never look different every time I see you. And he says, it's because of cold showers.
I'll look.
He was like 95 years old, and he still looked like 55 years old.
No, I was telling Kristen, you remember in the movie Castaway, right? When he gets rescued off the island, and he's like in the hotel room, and there's like the little bed.
Yeah, and he's on the floor.
He's on the floor, and he's like, and then he's at the buffet, and he's like, oh, crab legs. Like, no.
Right.
Yeah. So my wife, my glutton sin, I love to eat. I'll spend all kinds of stupid money on dinners, and I'm like, okay, but I'm going to enjoy my success. So, but yeah, in hot water, I remember what it was like to take cold showers, and I don't have to go there. But back to what I was coming full circle. If you come from nothing, it doesn't scare you to go back. I know that I'll never go all the way back down, but I go, okay, so I took 5 steps forward and I took 2 steps back. Okay, I'm still better off than where I was when I started. Whereas somebody like you're like,
I know it sucks.
Your baseline start is more difficult.
I need to go and move to the ghetto and just live life like that. Because I think it's harder sometimes for guys to that come.
That's fear, and so. Again, talking to Kristen in preparation for this, she goes, what do you think about fear? I go, I think Will Smith said it best. Fear is not real. That's your projection of something that hasn't yet happened. And so it's irrelevant.
Yeah, that's a great one right there. Okay, so let me ask you this. So when 10 years from now, you have children now who are potentially, let's say, 12
10?
and 10.
Yeah.
And what do you say is the big goal there? Is the company?
So they're going to be too young to inherit it, right? So they can't be the second generation carriers. And I'm not going to, what did you say, early 20s? So I'm not carrying this for 20 more years.
So you think you are still?
I'll always be involved. Not for financial reasons, but I'll need a hobby. Right, so I will for sure be a serial entrepreneur. I'm actually working on a couple other businesses right now where we have some startups going on, just because this one is running and it's doing its job and I like it. But now let's do something else.
And so, are you? What toys do you have in 10 years?
Yeah, I have a lot of toys already. So yeah,
I mean, you're a big Porsche guy.
yeah, that's I feel so blessed. There's sometimes I go, really? Do I need a garage with that many toys in it? Love racing. That's an expensive hobby, but I absolutely love it. My wife says I come back so refreshed when I come back from the track because it's my getaway. It's a huge release for me. So always racing will always be a part of my life. I have 2 daughters. I love my daughters. Can't wait to have a boy so I can live vicariously through him.
If you have 2 daughters, the odds the third will be a girl.
Yeah, it's okay. If I have 4 daughters, I'm fine.
Yeah.
I told my wife we're stopping at 5 though. That's it.
Really? You can have that many kids?
When within 30 minutes of me meeting her, the night I met her, she asked me, she goes, "How many kids do you want?" I'm like, who is this lady asking me this stuff? I said, as many as I can afford. I was trying to be very diplomatic, right? She goes, well, I want 5. Are you okay with that? I go, I just want to know your name, lady, you know?
Well, you know what? You do have the wife that can handle it.
Oh, yeah. She's a saint.
So,
absolute saint.
I couldn't handle 5 kids.
Yeah, but in talking about your experience, I want to provide. I will never do to my children what was done to me. So I want to be the super dad. I want to be whatever the activity they're involved in. I want to go to that activity. Like I ran track and cross country. I think my father came to one event and then stood up, said, "Run, Forrest, run." And I'm like, that's what he said. So I'm like, oh my God, no, dude. So I was, I did swimming and track and cross country, but I don't know, horses, whatever they want to do. I want to be that parent that can be nurturing to them and supportive. Like every Olympic athlete had a nurturing parent at some point. They had that path to success. So that's a really good goal for me. I love my farm. I'm going to start a little cattle escapade here in the next few months. I want to start raising cattle, things like that. But just enjoying life. Love offshore fishing, so we're going to pick that hobby back up. That's been on pause for about 10 years, so we got a new offshore boat.
Oh, really? Nice. And you live on the water, so this is perfect.
It's easy. Walk down to the boat, go off and go fishing. So, yeah.
All right, so in conclusion, because you've really gone, I don't want to call it full circle, because full circle means you back. Yeah. So
I've done 180 degrees.
You've done 180 degrees, but you're going straight up, and I'm impressed and I'm proud of you because I've known you for 6 years, and the person you were 6 years ago versus the person you are today is way more mature and has grown and seeing life in a different light. And so hats off to you. Seriously, I'm saying that because I've sat in the stands watching the game, and you being in the game and seeing how you changed and how you're winning the game. So. But now I want to run through some rapid questions and conclusions. So I want to get your opinion. These are quick answers, okay? So not thesis.
I'll give you a thesis. That's a good story.
All right. If you could only pick one ingredient on being successful, what would you choose?
Yeah, I think we already said no fear.
No fear.
Jump in. Do it. If you fail, okay, get back up and do it.
You heard that here. That's a first to hear. I don't think anyone said no fear before. What time do you wake up and quit work every day?
I wake up when the sun rises, and that's not just a philosophical thing. My body is in tune to, so whatever daylight savings time is, right? But typically it's around 5:30, 6 o'clock I wake up.
And what time do you go to bed? Or what time do you quit working?
You never quit working.
You're always on.
My brain is always on. Like my wife would be like, what are you thinking about? Like I'm always like, it's just the tinkerer within me. I'm always like, it's spatially trying to design something.
And let me share with the audience, this guy does not have a television, which I have 11. 11. I have 11 televisions.
Yeah.
My hobby is watching television.
No, so I don't know, maybe it was 8 years ago. I would come home, and as a way to I couldn't turn my brain off. And so I would just turn on the television, and then I'd be like, crap, I just lost 4 hours of my life. Like I would watch anything. Infomercials, the guy who was selling, what's the waterproofing spray? I'd watch that, whatever, just as a mind number. I couldn't turn off my brain. And so then I said, you know what? That's not healthy. I mean, anything's on it. So I got rid of the cable, and then I got rid of the box, the television box. And
I will never, ever spend the night at your home. All right.
There's a bookshelf in your spare bedroom.
Oh, no.
Plenty of books for you.
I need a television. If I came to you for advice on starting a business or growing my business, what one piece of advice would you give me?
Start with the end in mind.
Start with the end in mind.
Start with the end in
Nice.
mind. That's a Rockefeller habit. Why do you want to do it, and what do you want to accomplish?
Introvert or extrovert?
The extrovert. Hybrid, but mostly extrovert.
Pick the contract that you would go with, okay?
Okay.
First, happy, healthy, and enjoy your life 80% of the time and earn consistently $250,000 of income or more and have a net worth of $7 million. That's one.
Okay.
Second contract, happy and healthy and enjoy your life 50% of the time and consistently earn $700,000 plus of income and have a net worth of $20 million.
The only difference would be happiness, time spent.
Happiness and healthy and enjoy your life is a 30% difference. 80% is contract 1, 50% is contract 2, and contract 2 has $20 million in net worth. Contract 1 has $7 million in net worth.
Yeah, I'm a simple creature, so I can get away with $7 million. I'd take the happiness. You made that easy.
Okay. Well, last guest pick 2. They'd rather be unhappy 50% of the time. All right, real estate or stock market?
Hybrid.
Yacht or jet?
Yacht.
CEO or owner?
Owner.
If you graduated...
True owner, by the way. Like it's a very clear distinction a lot of people don't pay attention to.
Well, that's why I'm asking the question.
Yeah.
I'm very good at these. If you graduated from college today, what business or occupation would you go into?
Why? Well, I mean, like, what's the end goal?
Oh my God. This is rapid questions. Answer the question. What business or occupation would you go into? What comes to your mind? It's rapid questions.
Business. I would take an MBA, a business degree, because it's the most versatile. You can do that with anything. It teaches more life skills.
Fine. Buffett or Bezos?
Buffett.
You want your kids to have life... You want your kids to have life and financial stability come easier or equal or worse than it came for you?
Slightly better than me, but not easy.
Private or public school?
We live in South Carolina, so unfortunately private.
Ladies and gentlemen, Travis Bedson, C&T Foundations, entrepreneur, chef, fisherman, you name it. He is it. And I really appreciate you coming on to the show.
Thanks for having me.
If you guys want to hear more of this or the full episode, obviously, if you were watching this little clip via video, you can hear the rest of it through the website or go to iTunes, YouTube, etc. If you want to get in touch and have a conversation with this entrepreneur, successful individual, Travis Bedson, you can go to their website, www.yourfoundationexperts.com. That's C&T Foundation's website is www.yourfoundationexperts.com, or you can reach out and give them a call at 877-959-3561. I am your host, Eric Elkins of Double E Insurance and Financial Solutions, and another great interview, another great guest. And thank you so much for listening, and tune in. More episodes are coming your way.
I've been